To all you VO snobs and mic aficionados, let's have a little talk, shall we? How you doing, everybody? Andrew Scott, and you are back at the VO Booth Camp. And welcome to video number 50. That's right, we have made it to 50, sort of. I kind of discovered that I might have skipped one or two in the chronology, but, you know, we'll get it figured out. I might owe you a few videos. So, if you've been following me for a while, you know that one of the things that I hate absolutely the most is gatekeeping. And I'd love to say that the voiceover community is so open and welcoming that there is no such thing and we just invite everybody in. And that, no, there's gatekeeping in voiceover for sure. And a lot of it actually is about the gear you use. And by gear, of course, I really mean microphones. Historically, if you follow a lot of people on, various points of whatever in the voiceover world, be it either discussion groups or special interest groups or whatever you want to say, they will very quickly tell you that you cannot do professional level work with a USB microphone. Now, I'm not going to go deep into the history of the development of the USB mic, but what I'll say is that quantitatively, not qualitatively, quantitatively, there's very little difference between a good old studio condenser or a dynamic microphone and a USB mic. The primary difference is this. This is an ADC, sometimes referred to as a DAC. I just refer to it as an ADC. And that stands for analog to digital converter. Now, this, of course, is a very famous one, and you can tell by the color of it what it is, but its main job is to take an analog signal, voltage from a microphone that is changing, that is transmitting sound, and turn it into a digital signal by way of an XLR jack. And this also provides phantom power for those mics that need it. The primary difference between an analog microphone and a USB microphone is that this guy is built in to the USB microphone. There are some upsides to that. One less thing on your desk. One less thing to go wrong. Primarily, one less thing to buy. And yes, at the beginning of the USB mic revolution, they were garbage. They were notorious for all sorts of problems. I remember when I first was using one, I had my Bluetooth on my phone connected to another device, and the wiring was picking up the Bluetooth signal as I was trying to use the microphone. But the truth of the matter is, over the last 10 or so years, those problems have all really kind of been eliminated. Now, to get back to gatekeeping, when you hear somebody tell you that you cannot possibly use a USB microphone for professional level work, bullshit. That's what it is. That's the answer. That is bullshit. I know at least 20 people working VO talents to this day, earning their livings on USB microphones. So today's video is about telling all those people who say you can't, shut up. Really? The quality of USB microphones has changed greatly in only the last 5 years. And I want to demonstrate to you why I think so. Now, I don't want you to be listening to what I'm going to present to you with this, yeah, but it doesn't sound like X or Y. That's not what I'm doing. I guess what I'm doing, instead of demonstrating just how good they can be, what I want you to pay attention to is just how not bad they are anymore. And we've got 4 microphones that we're going to be hearing today. 2 of them are pretty new, and I'm kind of excited to mess around with them. But 2 of them are good old stalwarts. And one of those 2 is probably the most maligned microphone in the history of microphonedom. So let's get to it. Oh, and by the way, it occurred to me a couple weeks ago that I think I've probably only done 2 videos inside my booth. Let's change that.
And we're in the booth. Now, before we start, I want to make sure that you guys kind of understand the lay of the land here. My booth is a 4x4, self-constructed, but I really did feel that it was a good idea to road test these microphones in the booth, in the place where I'm kind of assuming most people would want to use this. Now, my booth has roughly a negative 65 dB noise floor. It is by no means soundproofed, but it is pretty effectively sound deadened. And, I've done a couple videos on that before. I'm sure I'll do more again. But just know that for these comparisons, I'm really going to be concentrating on this use case, this environment, so that you can hear what these microphones sound like in a treated space. And so first off, we've got one of those venerable microphones. This is the Audio-Technica AT2020 Plus, I think it is. Anyways, it's the USB version of this microphone. And I've used them before in the past, and I really don't have anything terrible to say about these microphones. They're okay. They're good. They're a little bit crispy. They are a little bit hyped in certain areas that don't really suit my voice all that well. But as you can hear, it's a perfectly serviceable sound. Now, down here on the bottom, this is what the current MSRP is for this microphone. I'm not saying it out loud because I'm sure I'll be proved wrong in 5 minutes with some kind of sales. So, I'll try to keep the information in the show notes relevant and current. So some of the other things to know about this microphone, number one, it does allow you to do monitoring directly from the microphone, with this jack here, TRRS jack. And I'm not really a fan of that kind of monitoring, but I understand why they offer it. This is really a microphone aimed at, small creators, things like that, where they don't have all the outboard gear that we have. And that's a nice option if you don't know things like loopback and how to route monitoring and stuff like that. Having said that, it's got a glowy light inside it like all streaming microphones do now. And no, okay, I guess that's cool. And I'm a guy that likes blinky, glowy lights, But overall, the one thing that I will say about this microphone, and you're probably hearing it right now, is that it does have some hype to it, but its clarity is good. It's very sensitive to a proximity effect. It is very sensitive to a proximity effect. And overall, I've worked with this microphone before with other people, and I found it generally easy to engineer. And here will be a little bit of a demonstration. I'll run some of my standard copy that you are all familiar with. And, as with everything about this, I'm not doing anything by way of noise reduction on the way in. I'm not doing anything by post with what you're hearing now, but I will do a side-by-side with pre and post treatment so that you can hear that this mic cleans up really nicely. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. And so now, this is one that I've been looking forward to testing. This is the Sennheiser Profile microphone. And I gotta say, from what I'm hearing, it sounds really nice. There's not a whole lot to say about this that's different from anything else that I've said about USB microphones. It's got the ability to monitor real time through the back of the microphone. This is also a USB-C connection. And, feature-wise, what am I going to say? You can turn up the volume. You can turn up the gain. You can, make some adjustments. It does have a little bit of a funky articulated mount here. I can't say that there's any real way to put in put this in a shock mount, so that might be a consideration. But the main consideration, of course, is what it sounds like. And I'm liking what I'm hearing. However, I have noticed one thing, and I'm not sure if this is coming through in the recording or not, so we're going to find out. But in my headphones, I'm getting a lot of hiss in my headphones. And I'm, a little bit concerned about the self-noise of this microphone. I wasn't seeing it on my DAW. I wasn't seeing it in Logic. It looked clean. But let's give a listen to the self-noise of this. Okay, now I'm going to pump this up in post just to make sure that this isn't generating noise that I'm hearing in my headphones. It might just be the headphones or the preamp to the headphones out of the back of the microphone. So let's listen to this. I'll bump this up about 20 dB. Okay, so we're going to know. But as far as the sound goes, here's your demo again. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Okay, next up. If you're a fan of the vintage, kind of like I am, this mic might interest you just by way of its look. So this is the AKG Lyra, I believe it is. And, it's a sexy beast, right? It's very attractive looking. I am noticing, though, in this microphone, listening to it, that my headphone volume knob seems to do, sorry about the handling noise, seems to do absolutely nothing. Again, not a whole lot to say about this microphone by way of ins and outs. It does take a USB Type-C connection, and you are able to obviously monitor it in real time by plugging a TRRS into the bottom of the microphone. This mic does have a number of options on it because it is a dual capsule microphone. So this microphone has a capsule that faces forward and out the other side. And you can do a number of different configurations. You can do a standard stereo, and you can do a tight stereo or a wide stereo. Now, I'm a fan of AKG microphones from back in the day. Not quite as vintage as this look might reference, but I like AKG microphones if you can get a good one. They are a little bit hit and miss. Now, I'm interested to hear what this microphone sounds like once I get back out to my desk. But there are a number of good things to say about this presentation of microphone. As is the case with all the microphones that I've been showing you, these are primarily designed by way of ergonomics to sit in front of you on your desk or in front of your laptop or, a configuration like that. This microphone probably would do a good job if you're doing a face-to-face interview. I guess you could use it maybe for ASMR kind of, hi, I hope you're doing well tonight kind of things. One of the things, though, that I always really liked about AKG microphones is that they generally didn't have much going on by way of proximity effect. And I'm finding out right now if that's the case. But here's your regular read. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
I sense a disturbance in the force.
A bad feeling I have about this.
Won't give a damn on my reputation. Living in the past, it's a new generation. And a girl can do what she wants to do, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I don't give a damn on my bad reputation.
Well, you knew we'd wind up here, right? Yeah. This, of course, is the world famous or world infamous Blue Yeti. And honestly, I don't know what the hell is wrong with people. This is a great microphone. As a matter of fact, this microphone is responsible for hundreds and thousands, maybe millions of dollars worth of VO income. That's a fact. And I don't really understand why people started climbing all over this microphone. It's really pointless posturing. This is a really nice microphone. Yes, admittedly, it is what anybody would probably consider hypersensitive. But it's got a lot going for it in so many ways, not least of which is up in my ears. Again, another super easy mic to engineer. You can make this thing sound like a microphone worth hundreds of dollars more, if not thousands. It's got a little bit of hype in certain places, as this, graph is going to show you. But it's not nearly as hyped as some people make it out to be. And again, just listen to it. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
So look, the truth of the matter is, and I say that a lot, don't I? Look, here's the truth. Unless you're talking about doing spots for things like, Chevy or Walmart or something really high profile, or working with an agent or working with an agency, things like that. Nobody hires you because of your mic. Nobody. They just don't. That's not how this business works. That's certainly not how this tier of work works.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
They hire you because of your read. They hire you because of your skill, your talent, your ability to engineer at times, but at other times, the ability to merely give a clean signal. As I've said over and over and over again, Your environment means a lot more than your microphone does. You want proof? Here's my friend April Grace Lowe.
He slowly slid his hand down her back. Part of her knew she should run.
Wow, a Yeti microphone that she and her partner Craig have been using for years to do hundreds and hundreds, thousands of hours worth of audiobooks. Why are people complaining about this? Why are people making this any kind of an issue? And I certainly don't understand VO educators who say the very first thing you should do is get out of a USB microphone into an XLR setup. There's a time and a place. And some people don't ever get to that time or place. They do perfectly well just using a USB microphone in a properly treated environment. Now, yes, obviously, my setup in my booth, I use, not to drop names, but I'll drop names because right now it's salient. I use a TLM 102. I use a very pretty Neumann microphone. I got that microphone primarily because of the name, the cachet. Nobody has ever contacted me saying, but do you have a Neumann? And as a matter of fact, I don't use that microphone all that much anymore. I use a LOWE for the vast majority of my standard narration. Nobody's ever complained. Ever. Don't let the microphone get in the way of your work. Now, obviously, don't go out and spend $10 on a USB microphone and expect it to serve you well. That's not going to work, obviously. But today's USB microphones are more than good enough to do world-class work. Yes, you might have to learn a little bit more about engineering, EQ, compression, mouth declick, noise reduction. But even those things are not as important as the space you're using the microphone in. None of those 4 mics that I showed you today cost more than $200. That's why I say, no matter if I'm talking to you on a Sennheiser MKE 416 or not, don't spend more than $200 on your first mic. It's just not necessary anymore. And it's certainly not necessary in order to step into this business. It's just not. They don't hire the mic. They hire the mouth. Take that extra $400, $600 that you'll save and put it towards something that'll really help. Better acoustical treatment or coaching. That'll get you a lot farther than a $1,000 microphone in a bad space. But do me a favor, if you've gotten anything out of this video, do me the honor of a like, click, subscribe. Definitely join us on the Booth Camp Discord server where you can complain to me all you want about how wrong I am about USB microphones and that they should never even be in your house. But honestly, I don't care. I really don't. Because you know what? I made thousands of dollars on a USB microphone that was used when I bought it. And it was made by Blue. Anyways, folks, until next time, this is Andrew Scott, and you've been at the VO Boot Camp. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.